This video is brought to you by Saraswati Vidyalaya Union. This is Prapti. Today we are going to study about the mechanism of respiration. In this mechanism of respiration, we are going to study about the transport of carbon dioxide. So this transport of carbon dioxide which are taking place in three forms. First one by plasma in solution form. Second by bicarbonate ions at the same time at the level of lungs, and then the last one is there, that is known as by the red blood cells. Now let's see that just now we have seen about the transport of oxygen, how this oxygen is transported. This oxygen, few percent of the oxygen in plasma and few percent of the oxygen in the RBCs. In the RBCs it get combines with the hemoglobin, forms the oxyhemoglobin, and then it is transported towards the tissue or it is transported towards the cell. Okay, now we are going to study that transport of carbon dioxide. Okay, this carbon dioxide, there is a transportation of the carbon dioxide. It takes place by RBCs, as well as there is a transportation is by the plasma also, same like the oxygen. But how it is more soluble in water. The carbon dioxide is more soluble in water. Okay, but this transportation of carbon dioxide which takes place by the RBCs and plasma in what? In the three forms. Now which are the three forms? First form is there, so by plasma. First one by plasma in solution form. By plasma in solution form, in this 7% of the carbon dioxide get transported. Okay, the second thing is there by bicarbonate ions. So by this 70% of the oxygen get transported. Okay, now the next one is what? So here by RBCs. Now by the RBCs, how much percentage remains now? 23% remains. So this 23% carbon dioxide get transported. Okay, so by these three forms, this carbon dioxide get transported from tissues into the blood capillaries. Okay, now here the first thing is there, so that we are going to study, that is about the by plasma in solution form. Okay, here the two things we'll see one by one. By plasma in solution form, and the second one is there, that is I'll write it down here only, by carbonate ions. So we'll see about this first, and afterward we'll see about the by RBCs. Now this oxygen from tissues, this carbon dioxide is there from tissues. This carbon dioxide enter into the blood capillary. See that it is blood capillary, that's why I'll show you with this color. This is blood capillaries. Okay, in these blood capillaries there is presence of this plasma membrane, as well as there is presence of these RBCs. Okay, it is plasma and this is what? RBCs. Now here what happened? This carbon dioxide enters into this plasma. Okay, whenever this carbon dioxide enters into the plasma, see this, then it combines with the water molecule. I'll show you here. carbon dioxide enters into the plasma. In the plasma there is presence of this water molecule. Okay, this carbon dioxide combines with this water molecule. Now what it forms? It forms the H2CO3, which is known as the forms what this carbonic acid. Now here, see this. Now here the same thing happened. At the same time, this carbon dioxide from tissues, it enters into what? It enters into these blood capillaries. In the blood capillaries, see here I'll show you. Okay, it enters into these blood capillaries. Here the smaller capillary I have shown, here larger I am showing. Okay, now whenever this carbon dioxide enters into these blood capillaries, but into the blood capillaries it enters into these RBCs. So here what happens, whenever it enters into the RBCs, so in presence of it combining with the water molecule, in presence of this Zn containing enzyme, in presence of this carbon dioxide is there. This carbon dioxide combining with the water molecule which are present into the blood capillaries, into this RBCs, and here also it forms this H2CO3. Okay, so this process takes place in presence of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme. In presence of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, this carbon dioxide combined with this water molecule and it forms the carbonic acid. See that here also the same thing happened. Here also the same thing happened. The process is rapidly takes place in the RBCs as compared to the plasma. Okay, the combination of this carbon dioxide with the water molecule, it is in the larger amount in the plasma, in this RBCs only. Okay, and here what happened? Here then again in presence of the same thing, in presence of this carbonic anhydrase, then this carbonic acid is there. This carbonic acid which separates this hydrogen plus there is a formation of this water, HC3. Okay, in presence of the same thing. Means that hydrogen gets separate out, then HCO3 gets separate out. Getting all of you? Means then here what happened? This HCO3. So all these processes takes place where? All these processes takes place into the RBCs. Okay, in this RBCs, so here SCO3 gets separate out. Then here what happened? This SCO3 from this RBCs, it removes outside. Okay, means outside means where? It enters into what? Into this plasma. Then this SCO3, okay, it moves outside. So here what happened? Here there is the imbalance of charges takes place. Means ionic imbalance takes place because that SCO3 moves outside into the plasma. So at the same time, then this chlorine enters inside it. Getting all of you? This carbon dioxide combined with the H2O in presence of these Zn containing enzyme, it forms this carbonic acid. This process takes place in presence of this carbonic anhydrase, and then in presence of this carbonic anhydrase only, this carbonic acid gets dissociate into the hydrogen as well as SCO3 minus. Then this SCO3 minus which remove outside from these RBCs. So there is an ionic imbalance. Okay, there is an imbalance in charges. At the same time, from plasma, that chlorine enters inside it. Whenever the chlorine enters inside it, so that time that one of the concept, okay, so that concept
whole concept which is known as the chloride shift. Chloride shift means this chloride enters inside the RBC, so that's why it is known as a chloride shift, or it is known as the Hamburg's phenomenon. Understood what I am telling you? See that here in the plasma, for once again I'll explain you till this. So in this, that carbon dioxide from the tissues enter into the blood capillaries. Now here we are talking about the plasma, that carbon dioxide enter into the plasma. In the plasma, water molecule is present. That carbon dioxide combined with the water molecule, it forms this carbonic acid. Okay, this carbonic acid. Then at the same time, this carbon dioxide enter into the RBCs also. Okay, but the process is rapid in the RBCs. Whenever it enter into the RBCs, in the RBCs also water molecule is present. So this carbon dioxide combined with the water molecule and it forms the same thing that is known as the carbonic acid. This process takes place in presence of this carbonic anhydrous enzyme. So it cannot remain as it is in the form of carbonic acid. So this carbonic acid get dissociated into the hydrogen molecule as well as SCO3 minus. Then this SCO3 minus is shifted from these RBCs. This is the RBCs. From these RBCs, that SCO3 enters into plasma. So whenever it enters into plasma, so there is the imbalance of the charges. This ionic imbalance is there. So to fulfill that ionic imbalance, that chloride enters into these RBCs. So whenever that chloride enters into the RBCs, so that concept which is known as a chloride shift, or it is known as the Hamburg's phenomenon. Okay, now what happened after entering of this carbonic acid into the outside that hemoglobin? Now see, this carbonic acid, from that carbonic acid, this SCO3 minus, okay, which enters into plasma. Whenever it enter into the plasma, at that time inside the plasma there is presence of sodium as well as there is presence of potassium. Okay, so then this SCO3 inside the plasma, it combines with this Na plus. Means what it forms? It forms the NaHCO3. Means it forms what? It forms a sodium bicarbonate. Inside the plasma, it remains in the form of sodium bicarbonate. As well as it combines with this SCO3 in the plasma, it combines with this potassium. It forms a KHCO3, which is known as the potassium bicarbonate. Okay, so I have explained you about this SCO3 which enters into the plasma. But here what happened? Inside the RBCs, that H is present as it is. See this. What about this H? Okay, here we have seen that SCO3 which enters into the plasma. So what about this H plus? What happened with this H plus? Now here this H plus into this RBCs. This H plus is there. That H plus get combined with this HB. And it forms what? HB. Means here what happened? The concentration of hydrogen ion increases. Means what it does? So that pH level get reduces. but it's not good for the blood, it is not good for the human being. So that's why then afterward, so instead of combining with this hydrogen, then this hemoglobin combines with this carbon dioxide and it forms what? It forms the HbCO2,
which is known as carbaminohemoglobin.
Now this deoxyhemoglobin which are produces, so there is H plus ion might be expected to lower blood pH, but they are buffered by hemoglobin by the formation of this deoxyhemoglobin. Okay, so here that is known as a reduced hemoglobin. Okay, so this is happened with that H plus.